Hey y'all, welcome and welcome back. My name is Morgan, and if you're new here, let me just give you a little bit of rundown of what we do here. So, because you're watching this video, I read scary stories that you guys have sent in to me, and if you have any you'd like for me to read, please send them to the email in the description and put YouTube in the subject line. We also talk about scary movies, I share my own personal experiences, and we talk about folklore and legend, and I'm gonna start talking about scary books as well because I've started reading again, so just a little bit of everything spooky. So if that sounds awesome to you, please join us here, we'd love to have you. I am also on some other socials, I will link everything below. I have a Patreon with exclusive content, and I would love to have you over there, so just check out the description for all of that stuff. Now let's get into the scary stories. I'm so sorry if the camera's bouncing. I don't know what Pierre is doing, truthfully. I have no idea. We have one cat grabbing the tripod with her mighty claws. I have one cat over here meowing, and then I have PT beside of me who's laying on my iPad that's gonna bite me really hard when I just listen for the scream. Ow! Every time. But anyways, let's get into these scary stories. So they started off the story by saying that they had already sent this once. They didn't specify that it was YouTube, so they were resending it, but then they completely lost the original email. Like, they couldn't even find it to like resend it that way. It was just gone. So it starts off with, I am scared of this house. Late May, I moved in with my girlfriend who stays with her grandmother. The grandmother leaves to Vermont every summer from early May to late October. It's a 3-bedroom house built in the 80s in a nice area. It feels like it's listening and learning all the time. My girlfriend works night shifts, so in the first few weeks before I brought my cats over, I was here alone all night. We had a screened-in back porch and a yard with a fenced-in pool, and on one of the first nights I was here, I was sitting on the back porch smoking, and I hear tapping on the wall where privacy fence around the porch and pool are. I was sitting there for a little bit, kind of feeling paranoid, like someone was watching me, but it was easily written off in my head as the smoking and getting used to a new place. About 10 minutes after the tapping, I felt this wind completely stop, so I took out my headphones. The air was dead still, and I heard absolutely nothing. Like, total silence. And I know that sounds just so stupid, but it was a fearful silence. Like in my head, it was something telling me that I should be scared. No, I get it. So I slowly kind of gathered my things while looking around the yard, even though my heart told me whatever was out there that I wasn't going to see this time. And I walked backwards into my bedroom. I don't think I fell asleep until 1:45 a.m. that night, and the next morning my girlfriend shook me awake after getting home and told me I was crying. I touched my face and I felt like I was full-blown sobbing not even 5 seconds before I woke up. This was the first time that I knew something was watching. I've always been pretty in tune to this sort of thing, but it's way out of my league. The biggest incident is that night I genuinely thought I was going to die. Since the first experience in this house, there were little things we noticed. The most notable being rearranging of trinkets, lighters going missing and showing up in places we both cannot reach standing upright, and the thermostat randomly being set down to 55 while my girlfriend was at work and I was asleep, which actually froze her AC in the middle of Florida summer. In late July, me and my girlfriend got into our first big heated argument in the home, which led to me needing some space and some time to cool off. So I went to the guest bedroom and closed the door. I heard the back porch door open and I didn't hear it close. I sat in the spare bedroom for around 10 minutes before I heard something weird from the dining room. Listen, it sounds so stupid. My girlfriend and I are in our early 20s, and this is the kind of humor we do sometimes. I heard the first 3 keys to the intro of Welcome to the Black Parade by My Chemical Romance played on the grand piano in the living room. I kind of giggled to myself, thinking how my girlfriend wants to talk and she's ready. So I walked to the guest bedroom door to open it, and just as I'm about to put my hand on that door knob to turn it, I hear 3 loud knocks directly on the guest bedroom door. I jump back from the door and it startled me, but I hear my girlfriend's voice say, "I'm ready to talk when you're done hiding." It was so strange, and I felt like I couldn't reply because in my head the voice sounded malicious and robotic and not at all like my girlfriend. I stand in front of the door for a second, kind of petrified, until I hear a bed creak like someone sat down on it. For some reason, this noise settles me in an almost compelling way, and I feel more comfortable, so I open the bedroom door and start to walk towards our bedroom. Our door is cracked, and I see inside that it's literally pitch black in there, and I feel scared, like deep in my chest, and immediately turn around and walk to the living room. I sit on the couch and I can kind of see into the bedroom from where I'm sitting. So as I'm sitting on the couch, I look out the 2 glass double doors that lead to the backyard and pool area. It's light inside the house, but it's dark outside, probably around 9 at this point. I can't see into the backyard, but I can't stop fixating on the slide that goes into the pool. I text my girlfriend and tell her to meet me outside. If she wants to really talk, I want to wait for her response. Still dead set on staring at the slide. I glance over to the bedroom for a split second and see a kind of white glow. So I do a double take and stare into the bedroom a little longer, and I see my girlfriend's face. Well, not really. It was like slightly distorted and grinning just wickedly, like it knew I was scared. It just barely lit up as well. I couldn't even tell if I was going crazy or not. I hear a text from my phone and it's my girlfriend. I'm sitting on the slide. What do you mean? I've been out here the whole time. I bolt to the back door and it's locked from the inside, and I'm basically just scrambling to get outside at this point. I run to the slide and I'm sobbing and trying to explain to her what's going on. She thought there was an intruder, so me and her are kind of going around the house with a kitchen knife trying to make sure nobody was in the house. At this point, I forgot to mention the deadbolt with a regular lock on the door to the backyard was locked with her outside. That night, we both had a violent nightmare and woke up the next morning to the AC being completely turned off and all the windows in the house open. Thank God we have screens because of our cats. Since then, we've attempted to cleanse the house. We've had incense sticks that were actively being lit, snapped in half, and the half that's still burning being on the carpet. I have this entire thing typed up in my notes in case something happens, because it also has been affecting my technology to the point that where at times I have zero service. Anyways, thanks so much for reading. Hopefully I don't die. Next story. After my son was born, I refused to believe that I was suffering from postpartum. I was in a bad place with my family and I felt completely useless. My son was sick and couldn't come home for some time. For a few weeks, I felt the urge to end my own life, and now that I'm mentally in a better state, I know better and that suicide was not the answer. My best friend, my dog Champ Bailey, yes, I named him after my favorite footballer, LOL, had passed away shortly after my son was born. He was my best friend, and I think I loved him more than my own husband. On this particular day, I felt like that was the day I was going to end my life. I was home alone and drowning in my tears of mental confusion. I hear a jingle coming from the living room, and it was similar to the sound Champ would make when he was scratching his head from his tags on his collar. For a few seconds, I forget he's dead, and I call for him. I heard his little paws running up the hardwood floor, but then I didn't see him come through the door, and I remembered he was gone. Instead of going through with my attempt, I fell asleep. When I woke up, my rope that I was going to use was ripped to shreds. It was everywhere. There was white coarse fur all over the foot of my bed where he used to sleep. I remember the dream I had during my nap. I was watching TV and Champ was next to me chewing on a bone, and I remember feeling safe again. I honestly feel his spirit came to me to stop me from making a big mistake. He was my best friend and my protector. They are the family we get to pick. They love us unconditionally and have no idea what discrimination even is. All right, story number 3. I'm gonna take a second. I'll be back. Sorry, I had to take a second, but we're back to read story number 3. I think I may be clairvoyant. For almost a decade, I've had these dreams of the future. They're realistic, structured like a frame stuck in time, and permanently stuck in my head. They happen from a day to 6 months before actually happening. It's a relief when they come true. The first experience were these visions when I was in grade 4. I was 9 and I'm 18 now. These visions were in the classroom. One was math and one was health, and they happened in separate weeks. The visions themselves were like I described before, detailed, structured, and a frame stuck in time and permanently stuck inside of my head. I was just sitting in my seat facing the board and paying attention to the lesson, and everything was so accurate, and they happened in separate afternoons. It was confusing at first, and it made my head spin. I didn't know what was happening, so I told my dad, and he told me it was deja vu. Unfortunately, I don't remember all of the experiences except for one that happened recently. It was on the 4th, which I know because it was the first day back at school. I was sitting down on my bus just staring at the front with everyone turned to me. When we turned to street corner, the realization hit that I had legit had this dream before. The same amount of people, the same location, how my eyes were leveled. It was the same as the dream I'd had 6 months prior. For me, it was validating because not only did I know at the time that I got into art school, but also that I would be on this school bus, which I signed up for in July and August. That may not be the most interesting, and I apologize, but I still think it's cool. This story isn't mine, instead it's my dad's. Now, this is my dad's one and only experience with a dream or vision of his own, and we talked about clairvoyancy as I'm writing this email. He was laying in bed, my mother was laying beside of him, and he had this dream that I was choking, as in laying in my crib. He freaks out and rushes to my room to check on me. 2 minutes pass, and he starts to leave, and I begin to choke. Could this possibly be a generational thing that passed down in my family, or is it possible that I influenced him in some way? I don't know, but I'm going with the first reason, as my grandma's a very spiritual woman and she is heavily connected to nature. Do you have any advice on how to strengthen this gift if I do have it? Would dream journaling and meditation help? Yes, that would absolutely help. Write down all of your dreams, study them. As soon as you wake up, I would keep it beside of your bed and write down every single detail, no matter how minute or dumb it seems, write it down. And I think that'll help you a lot, and I definitely think it's a generational thing. All right, let's read one more story. I live in a small town in Michigan, and let me put it out there that I'm sensitive, but these 3 short experiences happened before I knew that I was sensitive. All 3 experiences happened in the same area, and I've only told a few people these stories. So here goes. When I was around 6 or maybe 7, I used to live in a house that was catty-cornered from my grandparents' house, and this house was decently sized. It was just me and my mom and my 3 younger brothers that lived there. And one day after I came in from playing with my cousins and visiting my mama and grandpa, my mom was cleaning while dinner was in the oven, and I went upstairs to play with my Cabbage Patch doll, which was on my bed. So I sat on my bed and I got this weird feeling like something was wrong. And when I looked over at my Cabbage Patch doll, she was standing up. And I got scared, and then it started to walk towards me. I got up and was really scared at this point, and I hid under my bed wanting my doll to go back to normal. But I looked up and she was trying to reach for me. So I quickly slid from under my bed and flew down the stairs screaming. When I got to the bottom stair, my doll was at the top stair staring at me. Then my mom came running to see what was going on. I watched my doll fall over with her arms swinging over, and I told my mom what had happened. I didn't think she would believe me, but she did, because she's seen my doll standing up and then fall over. After that, she got rid of my doll. Until this day, I'm so scared of dolls. Every time I'm near one, I experience creepy paranormal stuff. The second story takes place a few months after my doll. My mom and me and my brothers moved in with my mama and grandpa, so I ended up sharing a bedroom with my aunt while my younger aunt was away at college. And she left this porcelain doll clown sitting on a swing. It was a small one, but it was hanging above my bed, and every night it would wake me up giggling and telling me that it was going to hurt me while it was swinging. And every time it said it, it would laugh, and I would of course scream. After a week of me waking up screaming in the middle of the night, she put it in the closet, and every night I could hear tiny footsteps and tiny giggles. Again, my mom would wake me up and move me out of that room because what my mom told me years later that she would hear the giggles and the movements and the threats. She was scared for me. The last story was an experience with the same room, but I was outside playing and I ended up looking to my aunt's room, and a man that I had never seen before stuck his head out. I remember locking eyes with this man, and then the window slammed shut and the man went limp. I was startled, and then I ran into my house screaming for my mom to tell me what had happened. My mom was helping my aunt in the room, and the man wasn't there. Both her and my aunt didn't see the man, but my aunt did open the window, and seconds later, the window slammed shut so hard that it rattled the window. It caught my mom and aunt off guard, and I wish my mom was still here to tell her side, her thoughts, but sadly, she passed away from cancer 2 years ago. Oh, I'm sorry. I started to watch your videos on YouTube, which is the reason why I'm sending this email to you. I also have more experiences if you wish to read them. I would love to read them. Ooh, I don't like dolls. I've had really bad experiences with dolls. I think I actually told the story on here, but me and dolls don't get along. Anyways, that is all for today. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me today and this week, and I will see you again starting on Tuesday.